Okay, this is the fourth of four videos talking about the information that I relayed to the class in our lecture on February 7th. And so this video, I just wanted to just quickly mention some information about prepping for the test. There is a test review on Blackboard. If you log in, look under test reviews. I put a folder there for test reviews. Here's test review with blank questions and then one with the answers. So you can use that to study from. You should also note that there are quiz and test solutions out now. You've taken two quizzes. I gave the first quiz back in class today. The second quiz I haven't graded yet, but the solution is out there so you can actually start to study from that. So with regard to the test, you got to think about the main concepts we've been covering: limits and derivatives, right? So you should know how to find the limit of something using that numerical analysis with a table and values. You should know how to find the limit of a function analytically, which means algebraically. And first you start off by the direct substitution, and then if that doesn't work, then if you get the indeterminate form, then you have to use some of the other methods like factoring and using a conjugate. Other methods that we learned in class. You should also know how to use the right and left-hand limit, how you evaluate those. We talked about continuity, right? How to find whether a function is continuous at a point, and there are basically three requirements for their function to be continuous at a particular point. So when you're asked a question like tell me whether a particular function is continuous at a point, you're going to have to prove all three of those. Or if it's not continuous, you could at least show one reason why it's not continuous. And then we also talked about how to describe points of discontinuity, whether a particular discontinuity is a jump discontinuity, a removable discontinuity, or an infinite discontinuity, which would be a place where there's a vertical asymptote. All things like that. The other thing we talked about when we got into derivatives there, when we started into section 3.1, was using the definition of a derivative that involved a limit. And that's where we had that, f of x plus h minus f of x all over h. And the limit of that as h goes to 0. And so you should be prepared on taking on how to take the derivative of a function using that limit definition of a derivative. And then getting into the formula sheet here, you will not have a copy of the formula sheet on the test. You'll have to have the formulas that we've covered so far, or the rules for differentiation, memorized. And I want to go over those with you real quick, just which ones those are. So here you're looking at these basic properties and rules. So all of these up in here, and anything above this line that says chain rule. So all of these right in here would be, see if I can surround these. So all those right there in blue, right? So that's everything that you should be knowing so far. And then, of course, we talked about today, we expanded on the product rule. So we extended that to multiple functions multiplied together. And then we also came up with something called the general power rule. So you should know that as well. On down here, of course, you should already know how to do derivatives of polynomials. These 6 trig function derivatives you should know by heart as well. And then I think we also covered this particular one here with the derivative of e to the x is e to the x. And I think that's it on this sheet. But again, you can't have any no notes, no formula sheets on the test. So the test is happening here on Monday. And I'll take about the first 30 minutes of class and answer any last minute questions you might have. And then we'll take the exam, and that's all we'll be doing on Monday. Email me if you have any questions. Thanks.